Each character has a power level in the game that we call gear score.
Yeah, Suicide Squad killed the Justice League. I hate to say it, but there are a lot of red flags. I want to go over them in this video. Like, it's kinda hard to keep an open mind after seeing the new gameplay, but it is still Rocksteady, and I still think the story could be awesome. But will it be fun to play through the game to see it all? Of course, curious to hear your thoughts in the comments down below. A like on the video would really support me, and let's go. The behind the scenes video that was shown during the State of Play starts with Sefton Hill, the founder of Rocksteady, but he actually left the studio with the other co-founder, Jamie Walker, at the end of 2022. So that's kinda weird, right? To have someone who is not working at the studio anymore open the video. Like, did they record this last year when he was still around, or did he stop by recently to still talk about the project? I thought it was worth noting at least. Now, one of my biggest disappointments totally has to do with the mission that we saw and just the mindless nature of it all. I'm not sure if you looked at the mini-map. Like, there's an army of soulless purple minions swarming Metropolis that have no interesting attacks or things we should worry about from the looks of it. They're just targets for us to kill, not to mention the tanks and helicopters with the purple weak spots. Like, does Brainiac not have more interesting soldiers to throw our way? Like, they decided to show this mission as their big coming out party, so is this the best they got? And I went back to look at some older footage, and so far it really seems to be that we got these regular purple soldiers, some small crawling enemies, the brutes with the big arms straight out of Sunset Overdrive, and the vehicles. And that's a big red flag for me in a game they want us to play for a long time. And I was excited before seeing this State of Play, especially after the Suicide Squad movie from James Gunn and the Peacemaker TV show. Like, I'm down for more stuff with these characters. But this is not how I remember these characters. Where the first few trailers really focused on Captain Boomerang using his boomerang and King Shark eating and hitting enemies from up close. Sure, he had the minigun, but he was also doing a ton of other things. Harley was smashing enemies with her baseball bat and not doing this sort of superhero ground slam that would kill every regular person. And they gave Deadshot a jetpack, which I do think fits him. And he feels like the character that makes the most sense in this game. And that's mostly because 90% of the gameplay seems to revolve around shooting. There are 6 types of guns: assault rifles, SMGs, sniper rifles, shotguns, miniguns, and pistols. And after analyzing the gameplay, it seems that every character can only use 3 of these, also looking at their menu, and you can only bring 2 of them into a mission. Deadshot has access to the sniper, assault rifle, and pistol, Captain Boomerang a shotgun, SMG, and sniper rifle, Harley a pistol, minigun, and SMG, and King Shark an assault rifle, minigun, and another firearm that I don't think we've seen in action yet, but it's probably the shotgun. Like, the reason he's not ripping everyone to shreds is because there's a loot system at the core of everything. I never thought I would say this, but Suicide Squad is a lot like Borderlands. Not only because the guns have manufacturers like LexCorp, GCPD, and Armor Tech that probably have some pros and cons, but also because we got a familiar grenade slot, a shield mod slot that will likely increase the amount of protection we have before the enemies can deal damage to our health. And the other 2 slots just remind me of the class mods and artifacts we also see in those Gearbox games. But the loot itself is also straight out of other RPGs with green, blue, and purple drops. With the higher the rarity, the more random stats you get on it. So we should probably be prepared to grind the same mission to get a better roll. And there are also yellow legendary weapons with a special perk that might be exclusive to that named legendary item. These item cards can get really long. It's a list of stats, and there's also a stat page for your character. It's stuff we've seen many times before, and as a loot guy myself, I usually don't mind these systems. They make me, weirdly enough, kind of excited in most games. I really like toying around with gear and finding powerful combinations. But it just feels out of place here. There doesn't seem to be a twist that makes this gear system unique. It feels implemented for the wrong reasons, to keep us grinding and to have us see the numbers go up. I just don't think the system they have right here works well for a Suicide Squad game, as it really limits the character variety. Like, every one of them has to use these weapons weapons and other gear items. And because it seems like the gameplay is mostly about shooting guns, the only big difference between the characters is the way they traverse the open world, although I would argue that that is surprisingly similar too, as they're all really fast, like they're moving with the same speed, they just go about it in different ways. Only the fact that Deadshot can stay in the air makes him kind of a standout. Each character also has their own skills, although we don't see them used very often, and of course they have their own melee weapons. And to be fair, this legendary bonus from Harley that lets you launch bigger brutes in the air as well, not tanks or choppers though, but totally everything else, sounds pretty fun. But yeah, quick side note though, that item card only mentioning choppers, tanks and brutes doesn't make me, again, very hopeful for the enemy variety. Now going back to the melee weapons, we haven't seen them being used that often as well, and they mostly seem like a way for every character to get shield back, looking at the shield harvest damage bonus on each of these items. And there's also this suicide strike, which probably the takedown we can perform on lower health enemies, you would think, right, which also gives ammo back. These animations are totally unique per character, but I think this is also where the battle pass comes in. Like, maybe you already saw it in the menu, but yes, there's a post-launch cosmetic only battle pass system to earn new outfits, emotes and other items to customize playable characters. Like, we probably have just a few takedowns in the main game, but can then earn more through the battle pass. There will be a free track and also a pay track, like you know how this goes. And next to that, there's also a store where you can buy cosmetic only items that have no impact on your gameplay, so there is a transmog system, but like the golden rule is that you don't show paid only cosmetics in your pre-launch material. So I guess the pretty cool Deadshot outfit is earnable in game, just like the Superman King Shark suit, you would think, right? Of course, the fact that we already have to speculate like this is part of the problem, but like the major red flag here on top of the other things I mentioned is that they're basically doing the exact same thing as Marvel's Avengers, with updates that expand the story with new missions and earnable characters available at no cost. Like, this model did not work well for the Square Enix game because you need a big enough player base that buys the microtransactions to fund the extra content and of course make a profit. And I just don't know if an outfit for these less popular characters versus a Spider-Man or Iron Man will be enough. They're, by the way, doing the same type of pre-order bonus, legacy outfits for these characters. It just doesn't feel right. Also, Avengers still had linear single player campaign missions, but in Suicide Squad it all seems to be 4-player, and even if you play solo, there will be bots in your team that control the other characters, which is just never a great experience. It also doesn't seem possible to have multiple of the same character in one suicide group, although correct me if I'm wrong, like this is never smart in a co-op game and something that Avengers learned the hard way and had to introduce post-launch. Another big thing is that we learned that Suicide Squad always needs an internet connection even if you play solo, even though Avengers and Gotham Knights were playable offline. Like, I hope I'm wrong, but I think this probably means that Suicide Squad will be unplayable a few years from now. Like, it's just really hard to believe that they will succeed where Avengers failed. It feels like they're not taking any learnings from the games that came before it and have now shut down, combined with the fact that I just don't think it's the right genre for a Suicide Squad game. Now, I still want to remain hopeful. Like, it is Rocksteady, and I do think that the story and fighting the Justice League members will be the highlights. Having Flash say you gotta kill us while being captured by the lasso of truth is of course pretty awesome. And there were some other teases and fight scenes in previous trailers that will be amazing to see while playing the game. I just wonder if going through these missions to get there is fun enough. I will keep an eye out and will tell you more, and hopefully I'm able to play the game before launch, so share my impressions. Just subscribe for more Suicide Squad content and other superhero videos. A like would really help me out. Curious to hear your thoughts in the comments down below, and check out my previous video by clicking on the screen. I will speak to you soon. Goodbye.